Let's talk about flexible productivity and the simple strategy that I use to add structure to my day without schedules and without time blocking. But before we dive in, I want to know, but before we dive in, I want to know how important is it for you to have quality time with your kids on a scale from 0 to 10? So, 0 being not important at all, 10 being one of the most important things in the world. How important is it for you to have that quality time where you can enjoy your kids? How important is it for you to connect with your partner without being completely exhausted, where you don't even want to talk to them at the end of the day? And how important is it for you to rediscover your identity outside of motherhood? Like, what do you even enjoy anymore? How important is it for you to find yourself? Now, a little bit about me. My name is Lucretia. I'm a registered nurse turned stay at home mom. I have a 5 year old and a 1 year old. I battled with postpartum depression and anxiety as a new mom. And with me being a nurse, I recognized the signs of depression and anxiety right away. I was holding my daughter and I was constantly crying. I was always overwhelmed. And so I decided to start a blog as a creative outlet, just somewhere that I can express how I'm feeling and help other moms in the process. So since then, the community has grown to thousands, and I have now become a homeschool mom. My daughter was diagnosed with autism when she was 2.5 years old. And that's when I knew that I wanted to homeschool her so that I could make sure that she got the education that I wanted her to have. And I could work closely with her therapist and everything like that, just to make sure that she didn't fall behind in school. And I've been blessed enough to be put in the position where I am a stay at home mom and I'm able to homeschool her. And it's been going great for us so far. And if you're thinking that you're exhausted all the time, so am I. I have iron deficiency anemia. I have to get iron infusions and I'm constantly tired. So, this is why I started to focus on flexible productivity because the schedules and the time blocks just really didn't work for my energy levels. But everything didn't go perfectly. I made a few mistakes along the way. And just a side note, 58% of moms report that they are primarily responsible for the duties of running a household and caring for the children. This is according to Forbes. So if you fall in that 58%, you are definitely not alone with feeling like you're carrying a majority of the responsibilities. So a few mistakes I made in the beginning, I did not prioritize my time, and this led to me spending time on less important tasks. So I was getting a lot of things done, but at the end of the day, I went to bed feeling exhausted, like I didn't accomplish anything. And that's because the most important task that I really wanted to get done, I didn't get to them because I was so busy with all these other small tasks. The second mistake I made was not delegating. I was trying to do everything by myself, so I had an excessive workload and I constantly felt overwhelmed and stressed. And another mistake I made was that I was not making time for myself at all. I put my personal well being at the bottom of the priority list, and I was constantly focused on helping everyone else, making sure everyone else had what they needed, and I wasn't getting what I needed. So, in order to stop that, if you felt any of that, if you related to any of that, here's the simple 3 step strategy that is going to help you add more structure to your day without the constraints of a schedule, without constantly looking at the clock. Step one, we're going to break your task down into 4 categories so you'll always know what to focus on first. Step two, I'm going to tell you about sequence planning and how you can have more structure without needing a schedule or time blocks. And then step three, we're going to put it into action. So let's start with step one. We're going to be using the priority matrix, and this is how you are going to maximize your time. The first benefit of using this matrix is that it's going to help you focus on high priority tasks first so that critical and time sensitive tasks are the ones that you're focusing on and not doing all of these small tasks that are keeping you busy but you're not actually making a difference in what you want to accomplish. The second benefit of this priority matrix is that you can quickly assess each task's priority level so you can simplify the process of determining what needs your attention right now and what can wait. And then the third benefit of the priority matrix is that you address the urgent and important task first, and then you can have less stress and more control over your responsibilities. It doesn't feel like you have this never ending to do list. You know what to focus on now, and the other things can wait. So, we're going to put our task into four categories: urgent tasks, important tasks, the delegate task, and the ones you can limit or eliminate. So let's jump into the urgent tasks. These are time sensitive tasks that require immediate attention to prevent negative consequences or missed opportunities. So, some examples of these could be if you have a meeting at work. So, some examples of these would be like meeting a work deadline. So, as a nurse, I had to really learn how to prioritize because it could be the difference between life and death if I didn't prioritize which task to do first. So, that's So, some examples of urgent tasks could be meeting a work deadline. That's going to be way more important than the handling the paperwork over here that's not due until next week versus the work deadline that's due tomorrow. So, you're going to focus on what's due tomorrow first and then focus on what's due next week later on. Another example of something that's urgent would be responding to a sudden illness or injury. So, as moms, our kids get sick, we get sick, and it can throw off our whole day. So, responding to a sudden illness or injury is an urgent task. Addressing an unexpected situation at your child's school. So, if you're at work and the school calls you and they need you to pick your child up, that is the priority. Like, you have to stop what you're doing so you can go get your child. So, that is an urgent task that trumps everything else on our list. And then another example could be dealing with urgent home repairs, such as a burst pipe or electrical issues. And so I don't know where you live, but where I live, it's been in the negatives. So we've had a lot of burst pipes. Luckily, ours haven't burst yet, but I've been seeing people on Facebook talking about how their pipes have burst, and that's an urgent issue for them. So these types of tasks, we can't really prepare for them. They just come up and they kind of throw off everything else that we've had planned. But we have to learn to just roll with the punches. This is life. And so we can't beat up on ourselves about not sticking to the routine, not sticking to the schedule, because these tasks are going to come up. So let's move on to the important tasks. These are the tasks that involve proactively scheduling and preparing for essential activities. So these are tasks like grocery shopping, laundry, and other household chores that will help you prevent last minute chaos. So some examples of important tasks would be planning your will. So some examples of weekly tasks would be like planning your meals for the week and creating your grocery list. So what negative consequence are you avoiding? You're trying to avoid not having any food for your family to eat. So that's kind of a big deal, right? So that's one example. Another example of an important task would be organizing and coordinating your family schedules. We don't want to be missing doctor's appointments or missing practice for the kids. Like, we want to be on top of those things. And so it's important to have some type of calendar where you're able to stay on top of everything that's planned. And I prefer Google Calendar just in case you're wanting to look into a calendar to use. Another example could be proactively managing your household finances. So, creating budgets. So, we like to use the app You Need a Budget. I love that app. It's very visual for my ADHDers out there. I love visual things. I need to be able to see where the money is going, and You Need a Budget is amazing with that. So, also paying bills on time, making sure you know when the bills are due if they're not already on your auto draft, and then making sure that you're saving if you have enough left over at the end of the month, making sure that you're saving for future goals. So these are you're being proactive in doing these things ahead of time so that you don't have to deal with the consequences of not having the finances to handle certain situations. Another example of important tasks would be planning and scheduling home maintenance. So, making sure that your appliances are working properly so that you don't go into the kitchen to cook and the oven's not working. So, just making sure that you're keeping things maintained and being proactive about that. And then, one example of an important task that's often overlooked is making time for self care activities. And I know a lot of people say that they don't have time for self care, but this is a priority for me. I've learned that I have to make time for myself if I want to show up as the wife, mom, business owner that I know I can be. So, to making time for yourself should definitely be on the list of your important tasks that you are carving out time for and being proactive about. Now let's move into the delegate task. And delegating is just whenever you shift the responsibility from you doing something and handing that responsibility over to someone else. So, delegating task is a strategic move that empowers you to build a reliable support system, and it helps you achieve your goals without feeling too stressed or overwhelmed by taking on too much. So, it'll help you avoid that feeling of having too much on your plate. So examples of tasks you can delegate could be like your kids cleaning their own rooms. So if you are constantly cleaning up after your kids, then helping them clean up after themselves instead of you being the only one to do it, or having your partner help out with chores. So I read that statistic earlier. 58% of moms say that they handle most of the housework. So you can start delegating, have your partner do the laundry, or my husband, he cleans the kitchen every evening. That's something I've delegated. I used to do that and now he does it. So just making sure that you're not the only one doing everything, that is delegating. Another example of this could be at work. If you have a lot of tasks to get done, then you could assign tasks to a coworker so you're not the one doing it all. Another way to delegate could be hiring a babysitter or a housekeeper. So instead of you being at home with the kids and you really need a break, you could hire a babysitter. Or instead of you cleaning and you're the only one cleaning, then hire a housekeeper. So that's delegating some tasks, some things off of your plate. And another example would be instead of you going grocery shopping, you could use pickup or delivery. So someone else can do the grocery shopping for you, and you can either just drive and pick it up, or someone could deliver it right to your front door. So either way, all of these will save you time and energy. And then the fourth And then the fourth category in the priority matrix is limit or eliminate. And this is when you identify and reduce activities that add unnecessary stress, they take up too much of your time without making you feel accomplished, or they negatively affect your mental health. So, an example of task you can limit or eliminate would be social media. If you're anything like me, I used to spend 8 hours a day on social media, and then I would complain that I didn't have enough time to get things done. So, what I did was I set app limits on my phone where I would only spend 1 hour a day on social media. That was it. So, I limited how much time I was spending on social media. Another example could be to minimize your for participation participation. Another example could be you minimizing your participation in meetings that do not contribute to your goals. So if you're able to skip some meetings instead of going to all of them, then that could be great because you could focus on more important things. Another example could be limit the number of social events you attend so that you're not exhausted. So, this is just learning to say no when you really don't want to do something, is just having that boundary where you're okay with saying, no, I'm going to skip this one. Another example of tasks that you can limit or eliminate would be to cut down on excessive television watching. So I love laying around watching Netflix, but watching it all day is not good for my productivity. So I've had to cut down on how much TV I was watching and just have certain points in the day where I completely turn the TV off, and then other points in the day where it is my TV time where I just relax and watch TV without feeling any guilt about it. And then another task example of something you could limit or eliminate could be hiring a virtual assistant to respond to emails. So if you work from home, if you're an online business owner, so if you're an online business owner and you are a solopreneur doing everything by yourself, hiring a virtual assistant or someone like a Pinterest manager, an online business, and another example of something you could limit or eliminate would be hiring a virtual assistant. So, if you are an online business owner and you're doing everything yourself right now in the business, there are so many things you could hire out if you have the finances to do so. So, having a virtual assistant respond to emails, or having a Pinterest manager take over your Pinterest account for you, or if you're a blogger, having a blog assistant or a blog manager that can run your blog for you. So there are certain things that you can hand off so that you're not the one doing everything and you can put your time and energy into the things that are going to have the highest return on investment. So let's map it out. This is the priority matrix, and it is included in the free bundle that you are going to get with this training. And you can see here it has all of the tasks broke down for you with a small explanation, and you can go through, fill it in for how it fits your day so you'll know what to focus on first. All right, step one is done. Let's move on to step two, where we dive into sequence planning. And this is how you're going to add the structure to your day without the schedule, without the time blocks. So let's talk about the difference between a schedule and a routine. A schedule is time dependent. So here's an example here of a schedule 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. We're going to wake up, we're going to do our morning routine. At 8 a.m., we're going to prepare and have breakfast. 9 a.m., we're doing chores. 11 a.m. You see how everything is by the clock. So if you're using the schedule, you're constantly going to be looking at the clock and you're going to be like, oh, okay, it's 8 a.m. I need to be doing this. Okay, it's 10 a.m. I need to be doing this. Let's talk about the difference between schedules and routines. Schedules are time dependent. So here's an example here of a schedule, and you can see it's very by the clock. So if you are looking at using a schedule, you are going to be constantly looking at the clock because at 7 a.m., that's when you wake up, you start your morning routine. 8 a.m., you have to prepare breakfast with your for your family. 9 a.m., we're doing chores. 10 a.m., we're playing with the kids. Like you're going to be constantly looking at the clock and thinking, okay, it's 8 a.m. We need to be starting breakfast. But the kids are still slowing around. They're still brushing their teeth and getting their hair done and using the bathroom. We're not even there yet. So that's why schedules can be very So that's why schedules can be very counterproductive when you are trying to add more structure to your day because you're going to constantly feel behind and then it can just add unnecessary stress and anxiety to your day that you really don't even need. So these are a few reasons why I don't recommend using a schedule, especially when you have young kids at home. It's because they can be very constricting and they leave little room for flexibility. They're overwhelming because if you get off that schedule, even for valid reasons, so if your child is crying and it's 8 a.m., they don't want to eat breakfast, and you never know with kids. We don't know how they're gonna wake up and feel. So if they're just having a bad day, this schedule is going out the window, and that can just cause a lot of stress or guilt because you made the schedule and now you feel really guilty that you weren't able to stick to it. Now you're not gonna get the cleaning done. Now you're gonna not really gonna get the playtime because they don't even want to play. Like you're gonna feel very guilty about that. And so that's another reason I don't enjoy schedules. And then they can just be overly structured and boring because they don't leave a lot of room for creative thinking or spontaneous ideas that you can add to your day. So this is what a schedule looks like. Now, routines are task dependent. So you can see here, we're just going to wake up whenever we wake up. We're going to get up, we're going to start our day, shower, get dressed. We're going to have breakfast with the kids whenever they get up and they're ready. We're going to do some cleaning. We're going to play and do some educational activities. Like it's so much more relaxed, but there's still structure to the day because I know after I wake up and get dressed, then the kids are gonna get up, they're gonna get dressed, we're gonna eat breakfast together. I'm gonna start cleaning, put on some music, they can dance, and then we're gonna play. Like it's so much more laid back, but there's still structure because I know what is coming next, even if I'm not looking at the clock. And so routines add organization because there is a clear order to complete the task so that I can be very systematic in how I'm going about my day. It increases my productivity because I'm able to prioritize my task. So I know with my household chores, I know what I'm focusing on and what I want to get done. So I'm not going into this all willy nilly, like, oh, I need to clean today. What am I going to clean? I know exactly what chores I'm going to focus on so I can get them done. And then they add structure because I have a clear plan, which provides a sense of control over my day and it's more predictable, but it still leaves room for spontaneous ideas because I'm not constantly feeling behind and looking at the clock. So let's map it out. Here is the daily schedule template that is included in the Productivity Power Pack. So this is the blank version that you're going to start with. And the first thing you're going to do is add in any time-based tasks. So we can't completely get away from time because there are things that still require us to be on time for them. So if you have to pick up your kids from school or daycare, you have to be there by a certain time to do that. If you need to drop them off anywhere, if you have any appointments, so anything that is time-based that you have to be done by a certain time, like my daughter's nap, we're doing that around 1:30, and that's it. Like if she's not asleep by 1:30, like the day is just gonna be off. So 1:30, we need to be winding down everything and she needs to be laying down in the bed by 1:30 at the latest. So anything time-based, you're gonna add those in first. Second, you're going to go to any urgent task. So if anything is due the next day, so let's say if your child has a science project and they just told you about it and you need to go to the store, let's add that in. When are you going to do that? And I know there are times here, but the times really just don't matter at this point. Let's just say we're going to go to the store in the morning after we eat breakfast. That's good enough. So any urgent task, and then you're going to add in your important tasks. So when do you want to run errands? Are we going to do those after breakfast? Like what point of day are we going to do those? Like on my routine, when we get out and about, that's around 4 p.m. When we go hang out, we go to the mall or we go just go do something. We go to Barnes and Noble, look at some books, whatever we want to do. But you just want to make sure you're adding in your important task and it doesn't matter what time you do them. Just have an idea of the sequence of the order you want to complete these tasks in. And then you can add, if you have any blank areas, you can fill them in if you want to. But it's completely okay to have gaps in your schedule where you can just completely do nothing. So that was sequence planning. That's how simple it can be to add structure to your day without needing a schedule and without needing time blocks. So now it's your turn to take some action. So you can grab your free productivity power pack. These are the pages included in it. It has your daily planning page. So it has a daily planner and a daily schedule if that is how your brain works and you want to color code things out. So I have two planner pages for you. It has a speed cleaning checklist and a daily cleaning checklist because a lot of the moms in my community, they have no idea where to start cleaning, but they want a clean home. We're just very overwhelmed with where to start. And so if that is you, then grab the speed cleaning checklist, the daily cleaning checklist, and implement those into your day as well. And figure out what point of the day you can realistically fit in a cleaning routine. So grab that below, and I will see you later.